You're watching CTV News Channel. I'm Roger Peterson. Thank you very much for joining us. We begin this hour in South Africa, where the party once led by Nelson Mandela and dominating politics has lost its majority for the first time since the end of apartheid 30 years ago. The results of the country's national election will be released sometime before Sunday. At this point, the African National Congress, which has dominated South African politics for 3 decades, is sitting at a little more than 40% of the vote. That is a huge slide for the party that led the country out of apartheid under Nelson Mandela.
When it comes to change is always a good thing as long as the people that are wanting the change are ready for it. And I just hope that the guys that are coming in to take over have a plan.
We have, all these parties are either left or right, but we, maybe, having them together, working together, we could create some sort of united South Africa.
The ANC still has the largest share of votes, but without a majority, will have to negotiate a coalition with another party or parties to remain in power. Joining us now to talk more about this is Aurel Braun, International Relations and Political Science professor at the University of Toronto. Professor, thank you as always for joining us.
Thank you.
This loss of the majority for the ANC, is this something that has been building, or is this a surprise, a sea change?
It has been building. There were some expectations that there would be a loss of the level of support because they came in at something like 58% the last time. But the magnitude of it has shocked the ANC, and it has shocked the entire political order in South Africa, creating more instability and uncertainty in terms of what direction South Africa is going to take. It is also in many ways a sad story, because this is a country where the majority of the population had suffered apartheid, genuine apartheid, not imaginary, not alleged apartheid, but real apartheid. And this was a party that helped bring up, played this instrumental role in ending apartheid with so much potential. This is a country that is extraordinarily rich in resources, natural resources, as well as human resources. It is a country that has become part of BRICS. So it has been able to play a significant international role. And Mr. Ramaphosa has wasted all of that. Domestically, his policies have been a disaster. Unemployment rate is incredibly high. Inflationary pressures are up. Investments are in danger. Externally, he has pursued a policy aligning South Africa with some of the worst offenders of human rights, and at the same time, spending almost an obsessive amount of time and intent in acting in many ways, according to some, as the lawyer for Hamas.
What are some of the things that they've done that have led to this? You mentioned what have they mismanaged, or how have they mismanaged it?
The corruption that existed not only in South Africa, but in other countries as well. Mr. Ramaphosa came in because he was replacing a previous prime minister who had to leave because of corruption. That corruption had not been addressed. That corruption continued to increase domestically. And it had been corrosive. And I want to emphasize that though this is not unique to South Africa, a country that is emerging from the terrible history that South Africa had of racial discrimination needed to limit that corruption as much as possible. It needed to build business confidence. It needed to generate international respect among those countries that are willing to have long-term sustainable investments. He alienated many of the Western countries and spent a lot of time with trying to boost the fortunes internationally of Vladimir Putin, cozying up to China, and as I said, this obsessive link with Hamas and these extremist causes. So all of these have had a really bad domestic effect, as well as internationally, shaking confidence in where South Africa was going among key Western countries, which have been reluctant to criticize South Africa, but quietly have moved away from the kind of engagement that would have been so important in transforming Africa into a modern, successful state, which it is certainly capable of doing.
Well, right. Professor, we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.